But we got to talk about what Maryland did to Louisville tonight, because for
Why?
lack of a better term, T.O., Maryland beat the shit out of Louisville.
They did.
And if we're gonna give all this praise to the ACC, T.O., let me get my one victory tonight, okay?
Do it.
Maryland looks pretty damn good. Louisville also looks like the worst high major team in the country. So was this more about Maryland, or was it just about how bad Louisville's been, T.O.?
The latter. The latter. Kevin Willard's doing a nice job early, and Donta Scott he's been a good player for a few years now. It's not like this is coming out of nowhere to people that have been looking at Maryland, even under Turgeon and Danny Manning for whatever kind of season it was last year. Like, he's a good player, and they've had good players. But this was more about Louisville. They have one functioning guard. They're playing Jalen Withers at the 2 at times. Mike's like, they've got some guys that roster doesn't fit together. And look, I remember Louisville in the national championship game not 10 years ago, guys. Like, I remember Rick Pitino's Louisville. Like, this is a proud program. You have the ability to basically pick which guy you want out of the portal, and you didn't go do it, which is a little alarming. And now you're 0-7 along with Cal. And I am going to go out on a limb here and say that Louisville's resources for basketball are better than Cal's. So, like, that needs to, there's a lot of adjustments.
Louisville's resources for basketball might be the among the highest in the country. Might be
probably
top
the top
5
10
in terms of like what they can spend on college basketball.
Absolutely, probably top 10. It's a hell of a hope court environment. It's one of the most electric, like, pre-games, game atmospheres there are in the country when they're good, but they're just not. But now that this NCAA stuff is out of the way, Hummel pointed that out tonight. Like, now they could probably recruit and go after guys that they really want to get. But I mean, they've been striking out even in high school now. Like,
I disagree with that to a point, because there would have been players that would have come in, and the guards that were probably mid-major caliber players that would have said, I'll take the risk on potentially having a postseason ban to go and play in the ACC, right? If you had, honestly, Tio, I think if you were on that roster, it would make them better, just because you would have somebody else that was actually a guard.
Too much Tio love. Now I'm getting a little
guards. No, this is not love. I'm just saying that you're better than Masterpiece Son, right? Like, that's really all I'm saying. Is there would actually be a functioning guard on that roster. You got a guy that's a walk-on that couldn't see minutes at Tennessee State last season. Okay. Like, I think, to me, it is almost impossible to fairly judge what Kenny Payne is as a coach right now, because the roster construction of this team is just not a functioning roster. You can't, and we talked about how many guards
you get that job, though. When did he get that job? But what was it, April?
Yeah, with plenty of time.
He had time to attack.
You had plenty of time.
Yeah, but that's part of being a coach, recognizing your
roster.
No,
I get it. Trust me, I get it. But and I don't think that it's something that should be acceptable, and it's definitely a knock on him in terms of what he's done putting this team together. But at the same time, it's very hard for me to draw sweeping conclusions when you just don't have the pieces that you need. And I don't know. It's bad. I hope it doesn't get worse.
I also don't know what they're trying to accomplish with the guys they have out there either.
Yeah.
Like, there's no general direction offensively.
Because they have one guard. What are you supposed to do? Or we're gonna post all 4 guys up at the exact same time.
Here's another thing too. Like, if say you have one guard, Jalen Withers can bring the ball up the court. Doesn't make him a point guard. Set something up to get a post touch for Curry, and then cut off guys. Like, do some split action. Like, after you enter the post, do something. Like, there's nothing. So I'm a little disappointed in how things have gone so far.
Can we talk about Maryland though?
We sure can.
Because I think they've been really, like, I don't think we're paying enough attention to them and how good they can be. They play a style that we've seen have success in college basketball, in terms of, like, a bunch of guys that are all switchable pieces. They have a really good point guard in Jameer Young. Dante Scott has taken a step forward. They told I think Hummel told the story today that basically what the first practice that Dante walked in, Kevin Willard made him practice in a 25-pound weight vest. And Dante was like, what the hell is this? And he said, all right, see how you feel when you take that off. And he was like, I feel a lot better. He's like, now imagine if you lost 25 pounds, how good you feel. And that's why he's taking a step forward, because he lost a bunch of weight. And I think his improvement is real. I think Akeem Hart is playing really, really well. And at the end of the day, like we're seeing what's happening with Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall right now. Like, it's not pretty there right now. And I think what Kevin Willard was able to accomplish at Seton Hall should not be something that is overlooked. And I think that he's going to turn this Maryland thing around quicker than I think many of us thought. Like I'm buying them as a top 20 team, maybe a top 15 team in college basketball. I think they're that good.
Rob, I want to just say I love Kevin Willard. I want to preface this statement with this. What exactly did he accomplish at Seton Hall, though?
He got them to a tournament, man. Do you understand how bad those facilities are? Do you understand how hard it is to recruit to Newark, New Jersey? Sorry, Dagan, but it is.
I love Newark.
Like, yeah, it's not like the fact that he got that team to being like top 5 in the Big East is a pretty impressive accomplishment if you know like what they're dealing with in the Big East. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know he didn't make any runs, and there were some of those things might have been like his fault in terms of, you know, you got a good team and you've taken the Maryland job before the NCAA tournament started. Maybe that's not a great idea. Maybe that's not a great look, but I overlooking the fact that he was able to turn Seton Hall into like a consistent top 30 team in America is something that, when was that last time that happened? Was what, like PJ Carlissimo, right?
Yep. It's commendable.
It was before Greg was a twinkle in his daddy's eye.
Hey, I know PJ. Come on, I'm a historian, Rob. I know PJ.
So am I completely off base?
No, but they've had talent. They've had talent before. Why do you think I bet a hot dog suit bet on going to the Final Four? Like, they had talent last year.
You made that bet on Mark Turgeon.
Yeah, well, that's right. But it's not like he walked into a bare cupboard. Like, there's dudes there.
Yeah, there's dudes there, and now you have a guy that can coach dudes.
Obviously,
he's obviously got players. 30%. He hired a bunch of guys with DMV connections. Like, I think he's going to continue to get players.
No, there's no doubt about that. That's where I'm in there. I'm in on him big time because he has really gone after the DMV, and they're so talented. There's so much talent there. Guys from the DMV want to go to Maryland or they want to go to Georgetown. Not now. But Willard is starting to turn. Willard is, or they wanted to go to Georgetown, past tense. Like, when I was coming up, guys were like, "Oh, Georgetown, that's big time." Now it's like, well, we'll transfer to Georgetown from USC Upstate. But Maryland is like, kids from the DMV. They see that crowd. They see how passionate. Like, there's a lot of talent there. If Willard's able to take over that place, get kids from DeMatha. Like, DeMatha's a factory. You're able to get kids from there consistently to go to Maryland. I mean, you're going to be in pretty good shape. That's the reason I'm buying him going forward. And we all know Willard can coach, and he's going to continue to get talent. There's no reason this isn't going to be a continuous thing with the Terrapins.